If you're the one going around and cleaning up everybody's messes, then you're probably an ESTJ. But if you're the person making those messes, you're definitely an ENTP. And I don't think these types would like each other very much. At the end of the day, ENTPs and ESTPs are pretty similar. I mean, there's only one letter separating them, and if you flip the N on its side, it looks like an S. Well, if you give it scoliosis. Both types are pretty high energy, so much in fact that when God made them, he swapped out their blood for Red Bull. Both types are also surprisingly empathic and people, but both types are also strictly logic first. They like to build a logical framework, and if you don't fit in, they toss you out. So they're people so long as the people are robots. That's all fine and good, but you want to know how they're different. Well, I have 4 easy ways you can tell these types apart. In fact, they're so easy that even a censor could understand them. Racing into relationships versus racing from relationships. ESTPs are lovers. I'd say they believe in love at first sight, but they fall in love before love hits their retinas. They will go all out with romantic gestures. Roses, chocolates, roses covered in chocolates. Heck, they'll even put on a diaper and call themselves Cupid. ENTPs, on the other hand, are afraid of commitment. To them, a ring is more like a super expensive pair of handcuffs. ENTPs always like to have their options open. So an ENTP isn't going to fall in love with you at first sight, second sight, or even third sight. It's more like a millionth sight. So if you want to seduce an ENTP, you better move in with them. Stockholm Syndrome is the only way you're gonna get an ENTP to like you. But once you've won over the ENTP, they'll open up their heart to you, and you'll have a really strong, deep, comfortable relationship. And you'll probably have a lot of babies. Problem solvers versus problem makers. ESTPs are pretty good at solving problems. Extroverted sensing keeps them grounded in the moment, and they're super observant. ESTPs see everything, though they can get easily distracted by all the details in their universe. Let's just say it's not just going to be your dog that chases the squirrel up a tree. ESTPs see the world in 20K, so they see all of those small details, and they don't mind getting down and dirty. They like to think on their feet, and they're hard workers. Boring, repetitive stuff isn't really a problem for them. And if that repeated line annoyed you, you're probably an ENTP. ENTPs see the world in more 144p. It's always 2005 YouTube for them. They can see patterns and get a general idea of what's going on, but the small details like where the ball is, yeah, they can't see that at all. But they don't need to see where the ball is. All they need to know is the score. ENTPs like to zoom out of everything. They like to see all of the paths and all of the possibilities. This is what extroverted intuition is very good at. ENTPs are visionaries. They like to take stuff from the future and bring it into the present. Unfortunately, new ideas mean new problems. Cars may go a lot faster than walking, but now you're going to need gas, oil, windshield fluid, and a gecko buddy. And the problem is, ENTPs probably aren't going to keep up with maintenance because they're champion procrastinators. They'll drive with the oil light on until the bulb dies out, and then they'll forget their car needs an oil change. New ideas bring new problems, and they're probably going to have to be solved by ESTP. And while ESTP is changing the long overdone oil, ENTP is going to go and invent a flying saucer. Rambler versus direct. When it comes to talking, ESTPs like to get to the point, and they're very literal. If they're going to fire you, they're going to tell you right away, and you're going to know exactly why. ENTPs, on the other hand, like to use lots of analogies and metaphors. While your EST boss will fire you in 5 minutes, ENTPs will take more like 5 hours. Yeah, ENTPs love to hear themselves talk. And the worst part is after the 5 hours, you're not going to be entirely sure if you got fired or got a promotion. This may have been the goal of the ENTP all along. ESTPs will talk about details and specifics. You're gonna get hard numbers from them, like the fact that you took 30 days off in 1 week, and they don't even know how that's possible. ENTPs, on the other hand, won't bring up any numbers, mostly because they don't know them, but also because ENTPs want to talk more about the why. They want to tell you that because you're late for work, they had to do your job, and they don't want to do your job. So ENTPs will always want to talk about why, and ESTPs are always going to want to talk about how. Avoids the past versus avoids the future. ESTP's final function is introverted intuition. And like with all types, they don't really value their final function. We see the value in it, but we just want to avoid it as much as possible. It's kind of like exercise, unless you're one of those crazy gym people. ESTPs would much rather deal with the here and now. If it hasn't happened yet, why should they care? But obviously, things that haven't happened yet can hurt you in the future. If you move now, you could avoid the punch. There is a value in planning ahead and thinking of new ideas. ENTP's final function is SI, and this means that ENTPs avoid the past. And it's not just because of all the messed up pranks they pulled. It's more so because of been there, done that. ENTPs want new stuff. They get bored very easily, and to them, reruns are more boring than MBTI videos not made by me. But obviously, it's important to learn from the past. It's how we grow. And sometimes you need to do boring, repetitive stuff. ENTPs know this, they just don't like it. But if you're still having a hard time telling these two types apart, I made a video on both ENTPs and ESTPs. You can watch them right here. I've been TrebleKnight. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys all next time.